Hello and welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I wanted to give you an update of everything that is going on behind the scenes here at POC, because everything that we are doing here is for you. So let's talk about in February what we are going to be doing to offer you ways to grow your professional organizing business. First off, on February 15th, I'm going to be having a How to Start Your Professional Organizing Business in 90 Minutes workshop. It will go over my PDF download that you will be able to download and take with you, because I know that you are just like me and love a good to-do list. And so it's nice to have that to-do list as you are starting your business to make sure that you get all of your foundational pieces going. So we're going to go over that step by step in the workshop. And then we're going to have a live Q&A and a bonus. You are going to get a discount into our Pro Organizers coaching community. If you have not heard about it yet, our coaching community, we do bi-weekly group coaching events, which the women in there are flourishing. They are starting to get new clients, consultations, the whole nine. They're working on their websites. We've done website audits. We've talked about SEO, all the things. So they have each other to ask questions to in the community. We meet multiple times throughout the month to do group coaching events. Plus, I also do a workshop in there at least once a month. So make sure to go to calendly.com/proorganizerscoach/start to sign up for the February 15th workshop. I am keeping it very limited because I want to make sure there's enough time at the end for the live Q&A and that each person that comes to that workshop gets their questions answered. I also am going to be having a free co-working/coaching day where you can sign up to do coaching with me for free. We will use it either on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. But the point is that I want to make sure that I am available for you. If you have been listening to this and you missed the free group coaching sessions we did back at the end of 2022, I want to bring that back for a limited time to allow you to come see what it's like to coach with me and to meet the other ladies. Those two free group coaching sessions will be on Saturday, February 11th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time and Saturday, February 25th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those are the two options for the free group coaching sessions if you would like to come to those. And then, of course, the workshop, it is only $24, but you get the download, you get the live Q&As, and you get the discount into the community so you can continue to do the group coaching sessions with us. So if you don't know if you would enjoy a group coaching session, then come on the 11th to the group coaching, then come to the workshop on the 15th and get the discount so then you can sign up for the coaching community. Now, I've also got the YouTube channel started. We've got other things coming down the pipeline, like different workshops. I just recently recorded an SEO workshop that will have a download with it also coming out very soon. I am in the process of, on Teachable, creating as many mini workshops as I possibly can to help you ladies start and grow your professional organizing businesses. That way, it's not just one big course for a lot of money, but it's smaller workshops so you can watch them based on where you are in your journey. So email me or reach out to me on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, make sure you are inside of our Facebook community. I am going to start going live in there very soon. So go to facebook.com/groups/pro-organizers-coach. Or if you go in the search bar in groups, you should be able to find Pro Organizers Coach. So get in the Facebook group. Make sure to come to the free group workshops on the 11th and the 25th of February, and make sure to sign up for that workshop on the 15th of February. I only have a few spots available. Also, if there's anything that you are struggling with when you go inside the Facebook community, please put a post about it in there. Ask the questions that you are, having issues with, or reach out to me directly at proorganizerscoach.com. You can go there and contact me or see all the ways that you could do an unstuck session. On my Calendly page, I also have a website audit session that I have been doing recently, helping you specifically with your website. So whatever it is that you are struggling with, I'm in the process of making options available to help you. But in the meantime, if I've not already made an option for you, then just reach out to me and we can do an unstuck session. That is always an option for you. It's a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session with me. You will find all of the links at proorganizerscoach.com for all of the coaching sessions and to be able to go to my Calendly. If you have any questions about anything that I have mentioned, make sure to go to proorganizerscoach.com and click the contact button. There you can reach out to me and ask any questions that you have about any of the things mentioned. And also, again, everything will be in the Facebook group, the links to the free group coaching sessions with the post about the workshop that is coming up on February 15th. So again, go join the Facebook group if you're not already in there. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever. I'm always available to help you. Now let's get on with today's episode. You are listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm Samantha Brown, a professional organizer and business coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to start and scale the organizing business of your dreams. So let's jump in. Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I have Jessica for part 2 of our conversation. Part 1 included us kind of role playing what it's like to have a phone call and a phone conversation with a potential client. And then we also wanted to go into the consultation part of things because I think it's super helpful for you all to kind of hear how it goes for her right now, real time, being able to ask the questions that she's going through. I know there's a lot of you out there that are going through the same thing. And so I thought this was super important to record for this episode. And then we're going to kind of talk some also about reaching out to clients, like when is too much and when is not enough, because we work with disorganized people. And so we have to be the pursuers somewhat, but you don't want to over pursue to the point of they no longer want to work with you because you're bugging the crap out of them. Thank you, Jessica, for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm learning so much and it helps me feel more confident moving into my first consultations coming up.
So Jessica originally had a few people on Facebook. She put a post out about, wanting to start organizing for clients and the services she was offering. And she had a bunch of people say that they were interested. She got to a point where she hadn't heard back from the people, but she's like, well, do I message them again or how do I do this? And so we talked it through. We looked at, what they had already said and kind of came up with what to say back to each person. Now, are those the 2 consultations that booked with you? Yeah. So both of them booked. So that's exciting. And so she had her first consultation with the first one. And then tomorrow she has her second consultation with the second person that set up consultations. So she was actually in that place before about the reaching out to clients. And she messaged me and she's like, listen, I feel like I don't want to bug them essentially, but I need to know if they're wanting to do this or not. And I want to get them on the calendar. And each situation is completely different with clients. But in my personal opinion, I normally try to reach out at least a couple of times unless they've just given me a flat out no, especially if I can tell they were excited, they were interested. But sometimes you have to watch your wording is what I have found. And what I realized when I was first starting, so I used to do this thing where, maybe 48 hours before a session, I would message someone and say, hey, I just wanted to remind you of our session. I'm looking forward to it, to make sure that they were still planning on the session. And the way I was wording it, I don't remember what it was now, but it was like, if you need to reschedule, let me know. So I kept getting people rescheduling. Yeah, because of my wording. So it only took a few reschedules before I was like, now hold on, something's off here. This should not be the case of this many people rescheduling when I message them to remind them of an appointment that we've already set up for a session. you have to be very careful of your wording, especially through text, because it's going to be how they read that. Just making sure that we don't leave openings for, oh, if you want to reschedule, let me know. Yeah, don't say that. So tell me a little bit about how the first consultation went. And before we were recording, she did say that it took like an hour and a half. And I was telling her that is absolutely normal. It should be closer to about an hour. I always tell my clients, expect 45 minutes for me to be there when we're first booking the consultation and we're on the phone. I tell them 45 minutes. In my head, I know it's going to be at least an hour, but I try to keep it as close to an hour. But that takes time. The first few that you do, they may take a little longer than that because you've not figured out your things yet or how to kind of get out of their house. And if they're a client that likes to talk a lot, for me personally, I would rather them, kind of talk and build that rapport with me, because once I leave, if they didn't feel heard, then they're not going to have me work with them, And so that's our first impression. And it's always been super important to me to make sure that it feels like it was a good consultation before I leave, even if that does take over an hour. So tell me a little bit about how it went.
So she said it was a good day to come because she did not have her homeschool kids, because the little that I did know from the phone consultation was that she ran a bakery and a homeschool out of her house. And those were the two priorities that she needed organized. And I know it made my eyebrows raise too. I'm like, this is a lot of stuff to
especially
organize.
for your first client. Yeah.
And then the next thing she tells me is that decluttering is really hard for her. Her brain can always find an excuse, a reason to keep something. And so she needs somebody to really help her and tell her that, no, you really don't need this. And she says that her mom comes in and wants to just take it all and put it in a trash bag and throw it all out. But she knows that's not going to work for her either. And I don't want her to do that either. That's just going to have people like resent like the decluttering and organizing process. And I don't want them to regret anything they've decided to release. Right. So say we're not doing that. We're going to make sure that you are okay with everything that gets released. Since she was mentioning stuff like that on the phone, I was anticipating a lot of clutter. I even like wrote that in my notes. I was like, I'm kind of anticipating a lot of clutter. And sure enough, when I got there was a house that was like basically like everything inside is just like falling in on itself. And there's a very narrow walkway to go around all the big furniture and all the thousands of pieces of clutter, because in between the big pieces of furniture they have is everything they need for homeschool in their home. And her kids are at the age that they have really big toys, like a play kitchen and a big horse that they ride.
Yeah.
And she mentioned these things cannot go, but she also wants the big floor space. So like, right off the bat, when we got in there, she has two toddlers running around and it's just very chaotic. That's kind of why I was like, oh, an hour and a half. I felt bad. I was taking up a lot of her time. But the whole time she was talking. So it's probably like one of those things where she did need to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids were, and she was like, okay, so they're super hyper kids and we need the room to run around and we need room to play and take out their toys and put stuff. This is their living room / dining room / everything room / homeschool room. She's like, this room in the kitchen, which is all downstairs, is the top priority right now because the functional life, like they're having so many issues with just being able to function in their home that her and her husband are bickering at each other all the time. And he's very OCD and likes things in its place. And she admitted that she doesn't notice the clutter when it gets bad. It doesn't bother her or trigger her as quickly as it bothers her husband. She kept mentioning that she's doing this to help settle the fights for her husband.
Yeah. Well, because he's leaving each day and then coming home. She's living in it. When you are living in it, you don't see it as much as if you're leaving and then coming back and looking at it.
Right. That's what she mentioned too is that like, and you can see her hand, she's very busy at home with these kids running around, and she's pregnant.
Oh
And
no.
so, yeah, she's about to be due in February. And so she's expecting, she's like, this house has to get under control, or me and my husband are like having serious issues. And now I'm like, for my first job, and I'm now kind of feeling like I'm gonna like have to save their marriage. It's a little bit concerning.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the concerns that I have.
So before we hit record for you
Mhm.
listening, she had said that she was going to speak with her mom because her mom's going to help her pay for this, but she also wanted Jessica to come in while her mom is there, which I think is kind of twofold. So she had told Jessica that her mom would come in with the trash bag, which I think we talked about, and,
Mhm.
would just throw it all away, which doesn't necessarily help it. But sometimes you have to almost reset things for there to even be enough room because there is so much clutter.
Mhm.
And for two, hopefully mom can help watch the kids.
So this was my other concern and that's something I did mention during our in-home consultation was at the end when I was speaking, like when we discussed what days would be good for you to do this. And also because budget was such a concern for her, I said like things could take longer if we're getting distracted and getting pulled away a lot from the kids. And she's like, oh, I'll make sure the kids won't be here that day. Also, that we have to do it on a weekend, which luckily I have availability on the weekend and I can do weekend jobs, especially because I think that's most of my clientele is going to be busy during the work week. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I have at least one weekend day available, I think that would be helpful because of jobs like this. So she wants to have her husband take the kids to the amusement park for the whole day, tire them out, and just start with a decluttering session with her and her mom.
Yeah.
So her mom is going to come and help. She wants the whole home organized, but there's no way she can afford to do this. And one of the issues she's actually reached out to a few other organizers in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and their flat rates are just too expensive for her to just drop the money and ahead of time or at one time. And she really liked that I was doing an hourly rate because she can budget that in with her paycheck and stuff. So
Yeah.
I
And
was like,
and
well, that's good.
yeah, and honestly, like you'll get a lot of clients like that where they're essentially living paycheck to paycheck, but they have enough extra that they can choose to, move a few things around or stop a few things to at least do like one session per paycheck or one session every other paycheck, depending on how they get paid. And that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
my clients. And I tell them this, I'm like, listen, we can go through and whatever however your budget falls. But it sounds like for her, she's wanting almost to knock out as much as you can in one day and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe just kind of go from there. But she's also on a time crunch because she's about to have this baby,
Mm-hmm.
but she's also homeschooling and running a bakery from home.
Yeah. So this
That's a
is one of
lot.
the a very chronically disorganized client. Like I would not say she would be my avatar client,
Right.
but as my first job, I'm like, this would be an insane before and after.
Yes. Even just
Yeah.
the declutter sessions, take before and after photos
Okay.
because the after may not be perfect, but it at least shows what you can do.
Hmm. I know the budget thing is an issue. She's not my avatar client. And maybe if I was further along in my business, she would probably not. She said she reached out to organizers, and that after sending pictures, they didn't respond back to her. I could see that like later in my future like career that I would have to turn her down as a client because she's not my avatar client. But right now I'm like, I really want to help her. I'm just
Yeah.
starting off my business. So she's lucky to probably have caught me at this time
Yes.
in my career because I'm like, yeah, like this is exciting to help you. I am wanting to start off with the kitchen first. It like is overflowing into the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to like kind of handle that, I think, first in order to get the living room under control. And there's some things in the living room that, like the Christmas tree, that shouldn't be there in a month.
Right.
Or she has a litter of 6 puppies in her living room.
What?
So there's a lot going on in this house.
Oh my gosh, Jessica. So this is not going to be your average by any means. And I don't know that you'll even get more than 1 or 2 sessions out of this girl.
Right.
Only because it takes such a crazy, chaotic amount of stuff to move around and get in place to even then have a session.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's wanting it and it's something she's needing, then she will definitely set it up. If not, after that first one, at least you'll know that you at least got her started.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely, she's not the type of client that you're going to get like, 5 or 6 sessions out of. Like she's just not. Like I really think you're going to be lucky to get this one day of work out of her.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. She showed me her whole house.
Of course, they always do.
Yeah, a big plans of the upstairs, but it's a lot of, I have this huge dog crate and I just can't get rid of it. But it doesn't work here, but there's nowhere else that it fits. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to do about that. If there's nowhere else it fits, you can't get rid of the dog crate.
And it has to stay up for you to put the dogs in.
Yeah, to put the dogs in. And she wants me to come up with a solution for that. So like,
all I would tell her for the dog crate specifically, or for anything like that, like if it's a kid's toy that's huge, or if it's a whatever, you have 2 options. Like sometimes you have to get a little rough with your clients, not hateful, but just stern, and get a backbone and just say, listen, you've got 2 options. Either we release it. Well, 3 options. We release it, we move it, or you keep it right where it is. But if you keep it where it is, this is not a forever home for this thing, because once the puppies get a little bit bigger, okay, then maybe you could either get like a smaller crate, or maybe the puppies are gone because you've sold them, or whatever happens to the dogs. Right. So then maybe it can be knocked down and held for later if you need it. When it comes to the big kids items, it's like, listen, you are choosing to have these items over the space that they're taking up. Like it's up to you, but you can't want all this space and keep all of these items. Like you just can't. Sometimes they're so in their head of like, I need solutions. I need you to tell me what to do. And sometimes the solution is just being kind of blunt with them and being like, listen, if you say there's nowhere else to put this thing, and if in your brain after her walking you through the home, there really is not anywhere else to put it, then it's up to you. Do we leave it where it is, or do we? And remind her, as we declutter, a lot of this stuff's not going to feel like it's taking up so much space. But if you keep up with the habits you have right now and you don't keep it decluttered, then it's going to go right back to this. It may take some time, and that's like, I just had a lady reach out to me. So I had helped her do her craft. They had like turned her garage into her craft room. And so it's this huge garage, and it was like this long, weird shape. And the whole thing is like lined with shelves and like, completely turned into like half office, half craft room. But she had all these little craft thingies and glitter and, different things, because she has an Etsy store and a this and a that and a. So she just reached back out to me a year ago. You couldn't even walk in that room. We did 2 sessions of 3 hours, so a total of 6 hours. We had that room completely, decluttered, organized, all the trash out, the whole 9. We rearranged things, everything. So then it's been about a year, and she just reached out to me and she's like, hey, I feel like a failure, but I need another session. And I'm like, no, like over time, things just get messy again. Like it's what happens. That's why I have maintenance sessions. Like it's completely okay. Don't feel bad. Life happens. And especially for this girl that you're working with, between the kids, the dogs, the husband, the, homeschooling, the bakery, the dinner,
Right.
No wonder this house is chaotic. She's got way too much stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She has all these organization contain like almost every she has everything in containers and stuff and is like, this isn't working. This isn't.
Are they clear containers, or did she buy like baskets, or like what kind of containers? Are they
Yeah.
colored or
So that's
clear?
definitely gonna be the issue, is because half the stuff that's out is in a box that she can't see, half of it. So and that's definitely an issue for her, being neurodivergent, and like she can't find, if she doesn't see it, she can't find it. We need to have everything for her to be able to see, but she doesn't want to decant anything. She tried decanting. She has things in decanting, like stuff, but she said that it was just taking up too much time. I could see that if she's like has her hands so much full anyway, to come back from the grocery store and doing the decanting.
Yeah.
And then she
Which
only
like
uses
pouring the cereal in clear containers is what.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. When you
Yeah,
first said
is
it, I'm
what
like,
decanting is.
decant? Like, what is that?
Yeah, that's what she was calling it.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, pouring all the
Oh,
ingredients
yeah.
into its
Chick
own
does not have
container.
time.
She does not have time to do this,
No.
obviously. And she has that system set up and doesn't want it anymore. So maybe we can make room by removing some of that stuff. She says she wants to get rid of her dining table and put in just a big rack shelf to have just her bakery stuff on. So it'll all be on a visible shelf. And I'm trying to decide, like, I mean, if we ever get to the organizing job and not just the decluttering, of like, do we put stuff in bins or do we just have it like
Well, it
out
depends
for her
on
to
what.
grab?
Yeah, it depends on what it is. If you do get bins, I'd definitely go clear, and I would definitely get the ones that
Mm-hmm.
have the U shape in the front. Problem is, those are the most expensive. The most expensive.
Yeah.
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 And budget's already an
So,
issue. So I don't even know that
yeah,
I would be thinking about that stuff right now, though,
stuff right
honestly.
now,
Yeah. I
right?
think right now it's one step at a
Just
time.
focus on the decluttering job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know that it's even going to go any farther. You don't want to waste your time doing that. If you do that day session and then she's asking, then you can
Asking
take the
what to
time
do.
then, of like
Yeah.
after the decluttering session, once she sets up the organizing session, then you can start doing like the research and the whatever. But
Right.
I would
Yeah.
just tell her that. I would be like, listen, I know you're on a time crunch. I know we got to get this done, but we're taking it one step at a time. This first
Step at
step
a
is we
time.
have to declutter, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen has to be decluttered and the living room and dining room have to be decluttered. So
Yeah.
like that's going to take a lot of time because you're going to have to go item by item by item. And if she's already got
Right.
stuff in bins and boxes and stuff, you're going to be in baskets, you're going to be pulling those out and having
Pulling
to
it
go
out.
through the entire thing with her.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And so you really don't know
Oh,
what you're going to have left to even organize until you do the decluttering process.
right. And I don't want to leave her with like a big mess at the end of the session either, of like everything pulled out, right? And like,
Oh, yeah. No,
I
no.
can't leave it organized because I don't have time to do that, but I have to be able to like
Put
be
it.
able to put
Yeah.
stuff back. And
Yes.
so spending, I don't know how long that takes to do that, even after we've made a big mess, to clean up that mess. I probably have to reserve like at least an hour to 30
I'd say an
minutes to just
hour.
putting
Yeah.
something
Well, I'd
to put
say,
stuff back.
yeah, I mean, I'd say not really to put stuff back, right? Because it's going to be like part of the process. So, like, if it takes, you 2 hours to pull it out going item by item, like keep, release, like what,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to keep this girl on track because she sounds like she gets very distracted very easily. Plus, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have Mama Bear there trying to put her
Mm-hmm.
2 cents in and tell, so you're going to have to go in, you're going to have to take charge and you're going to have to be like, look, so I brought 2 black garbage bags. Every item, we're just going to start going item by item. This is the trash bag. This one's donation. Start putting stuff in it. Let's start at this point and work our way through. Now, when it comes to the kitchen items, like pantry items, that's normally a pretty easy declutter session because it's more of what's in date than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I would talk to her about getting that decanting, the clear bins out of the way. asking her, do you want to donate these since they're not working for you? Especially
Right.
if they're like the cereal ones, because what else are you going to use those for? But if they're
Yeah.
like other bins, then maybe you could use them somewhere else. But, I'd just be like, let's release it. And then as you're putting the stuff back, once you've gone through and you've gotten everything out and you've looked at all the dates and you've set it back. You look at a date, set it back, look at a date, set it back. It's already back in place. Now,
Yeah.
at the end, if you need to kind of move it around a little bit to where it makes more sense, but you'll kind of be doing that as you're going. Like you'll see, and I'm sure she's got it somewhat to where it makes sense in her brain. And then, but I wouldn't even focus on like making it perfect because it's going to get disarrayed for her again. I would just move straight on to the next thing and like staying focused on decluttering because that's what it sounds like is she's just got too much crap in that space.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how you're going to help her the most.
Yeah. At least right now, hopefully,
right,
is helping her declutter and get the stuff out of her house.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the second consultation. And so do you have any like thoughts, comments, questions, concerns about, the one coming up tomorrow?
Yeah. So, how do I like hand them my service agreement at the end, right? Do you make sure they sign it? You just leave it there?
No. We're not leaving nothing.
Okay.
Because that's just more crap for them to have, like for me, I don't even ask them if they want a copy. I just ask them to sign and then I take it with me. I've had one person one time say, hey, can you bring me a copy back? And I'm like, absolutely. I'll take it and get it photocopied. And on the day of our session, I'll bring it back with me.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just keep
it. What about like electronic signatures?
So what would you need those for?
Like, can we like do the contract, the service agreement with electronic signature?
Yes, but you're going to need a tablet to take with you too, or send it to them. But the reason, so here's kind of the problem, right? If you send them all this information and you're not there to go over each piece with them.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So that's what I didn't do the first time. I did not go over the whole service agreement. I was just like, here's the service agreement.
Yeah, no, I always let them show me through their home. When we first get there, I'm like, hey, okay, so like take me on the tour, show me some of the areas. And then once we've walked, I'm like, hey, can we go sit down at the dining room table or is there somewhere front porch? Like, can we go sit somewhere? And then we go sit and I open up my folder. Then I'm like, okay, so here is my contract. I just wanted to go over this with you real quickly. I have a pen right there ready for them to sign. And I just explain like each bullet point or paragraph, and just do a brief little like going down the line of what each one means. And then I already have it where I've signed it and dated it. And so then I just hand them the pen and the contract. They sign real quick and I tell them thank you. And then I pull out my phone for my calendar and I'm like, okay, so when would you like to set up your first session? It's literally as simple as that.
Right. And
or you can even,
and what if they say like I had at my consultation, I can't schedule my first session right now. I need to talk
very,
to my mom
very
who's paying for this. I need to.
That's not the case. Normally the person you're talking to can like 80% of the time, at least the person's going to be able to decide yes or no. And she may be telling you that one, because she may really not be able to afford it or realized like, that may have been her way of saying like, hey, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It also may have been really that she needs to talk to her mom, which is fine. But the majority of the time, the person in the home that has called you and asked you to come in and is giving you the tour is also the person that has saved up the money and is ready to do this.
Right. Okay. So I shouldn't come across that too often.
No. And I also sometimes ask them instead of like, when would you like to set up the first session? Because that's kind of broad. I always ask like, so what's your work schedule? Like I just assume they're going to be setting up a session, and I'm like, I think we should start in the office or I think we should start in the kitchen. What's your work schedule look like? Do you normally work during the day, like during the week? Is it weekends? And then we just start kind of chatting back and forth and they're like, oh, well, I work Monday through Thursday, but Fridays are a really good day. So then I'm like, okay, well, let me see what Fridays. I've got Friday the 10th or Friday the 17th. Which day works better for you? And then I tell them I like to do mornings. I prefer after I drop my son off to come straight to a session because I have more energy in the mornings. I can get more done for you if we book it earlier. Is 9:30 too early? Does it need to be a little later? Is that a good time? Type thing.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm used to kind of doing that with my cleaning jobs because I've been doing cleaning jobs for a while. So getting them on like talking them into a reoccurring schedule is something I feel like I've gotten like the flow down. I keep thinking of how I want to pitch to my cleaning clients to organize for them too. So I'm like, would it be weird to text them like out of the blue, like one day, or should I just like after I see them at a cleaning job mention?
I mean, either way, but here's what I would do if I were you. And I actually just recently did this and I was surprised how much good feedback I got from it. So I went into Canva and made what looked like a digital voucher. So it was like a photo and it said voucher. Like if you put in Canva on the search, like gift certificate or voucher, it'll come up with the options of the ones you can tweak to, look good. And I found one that said like voucher for being an amazing client. And then I put, congratulations, you get a special price on any session you book through December 31st as a thank you for being a loyal customer this year. And then in the like little button part, I put $199 per session and under that valid through December 31st, 2022. So it put a time frame on it of like, it has to be a session before the end of the year to get this discount. But because you've been a loyal customer to me, I'm giving you this option. And so I would make something like that. And then underneath it, and just copy and paste the underneath part when you send it to each person, but have like a little saying from you being like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I've started organizing for people. And so now that I'm a professional organizer, I wanted to let you know that I'm offering these services as well. Decluttering or organizing is blank dollars per hour. I'm still going to keep you as a cleaning client, but I wanted to let you know that if you need to declutter or organize, that I'm available for that also now.
I love that idea. Yeah, I feel like that would be something that if I got, I would jump on that. Oh, I already trust this person, so why not let them organize too?
Yeah.
I like that idea. Okay, so tomorrow's job, she actually wants me both she's interested in decluttering, organizing, and cleaning. So that's
perfect.
Kind of exciting because she wants me to do it all. So I'll kind of be doing a cleaning consultation at the same time as the organizing consultation.
Yeah.
But I don't need to know much about for cleaning. Just sometimes like what stone is this? Can I use safe products on? So there's not much, but she is exciting because she's also knows in advance that she's moving in the spring and she wants to declutter and get everything ready for when we're ready to move, that it can all just be packed and is all already can be labeled at where it goes and where its home is. And
yeah, and I would make sure as you get to know her and as you start working together, at some point mention, hey, if you need help boxing up the stuff before you move, love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I want to plug that into somehow that I can help her with that.
Yeah, process. I just wouldn't tell her that at first because you know that that's a few months from now. You know you're going to have time to build up and you don't want to overwhelm her. And it's already not overwhelming, but it's already a lot to have you coming in for cleaning and decluttering and organizing. So just take it step by step. And at some point, you'll be able to mention to her, like, hey, I just wanted to let you know if you need help when you go to start packing, I'm already familiar with your home. It would be super easy for me to do so. And if she says, well, how would that work? Or how do you do that? You're going to tell her that she buys the supplies and then she pays you per hour to do the physical labor, or you can buy the supplies and her reimburse you for them however she would like that. But it is easier coming in and the supplies being there.
And it should be a lot easier too with it already hopefully being decluttered by then.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yeah. I think before you know it, you're going to be a little overwhelmed. Can I just offer that to you?
Yeah. I don't want to even get overwhelmed in this consultation, I feel like.
So what I would do is I would consider it 2 separate conversations, right? Okay. So as she's walking you through the home, whatever feels natural when you all are talking, you've got that down, like you're a people person. But when you sit down to have the business side of the conversation, start with the cleaning because you're comfortable with that. So have that conversation. And then as you're going through your contract or how it, either go through the contract first and then do the cleaning conversation of setting up the days and times, and then start talking about the decluttering of setting up the day and time, because you don't want to overwhelm and be talking about both at the same time. These are 2 separate pieces of a puzzle.
Right. Okay. Because I don't want to confuse her either with giving her all these things I can do and her and understand that like even my price is different for cleaning and for organizing. So
and I would just
make
sure you are very clear. Yes, that you're very clear and that you let her know, you show her your form or your paper you have that has your pricing on it. And that you kind of point to it and you're like, okay, so for the cleaning, it's this price. It normally takes me, I think it's going to take me this amount of hours. Were you thinking bi-weekly, weekly, just kind of get that conversation out of the way. Then move to the decluttering and say, okay, now my decluttering / organizing sessions are this price. When were you thinking of setting up the first session for that? Or, that kind of thing. Because the cleaning is something that's going to be reoccurring. The organizing is like, it's just going to be room by room. And so, and maybe as you're walking through the home at some point, kind of ask her, so were you thinking on cleaning like bi-weekly or once a month? What were your thoughts on cleaning? Just so you can already have it in your mind of what she's thinking.
Yeah. And that way when we get to sitting down, I can be like, okay, when we schedule the appointment, this is going to be a bi-week, like what day am I available to do even a bi-weekly clean or something like that would be.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that way you go into the talking part of the consultation confident, knowing exactly what she's wanting. So then it's just a matter of going over the pricing and telling her what days you're available.
Right. Okay. So that should be good. Her issue was mostly with clothes. She says she has clothes. She's a single woman, but in a 3-bedroom home, and all of the clothes are overflowing in every bedroom. And so,
when you go to do her decluttering session, you're going to have to do a day of just clothes. And you're going to have to go item by item, go around the whole house and get them out and pull them onto like a bed somewhere for her to see how many she has. Especially if she's at a place where she's ready to release some, then you've got to go get all the shirts, short sleeve shirts, put them in a pile, all the tank tops, put them in a pile, all the pants, like it's a process. I wouldn't pull them off the hangers. I'd leave them on. So as you're putting them back, they're already still on the hangers. Yeah. But I would pull them out and lay them on a bed somewhere, like item by item.
Right. And all in one room to show her the scope of the clothes and the job.
If possible, depending on how many clothes she has, you might end up having to use 2 beds if there's 3 closets full of clothes.
So, totally different kind of client than the first one, who was in the stage of life where she has kids running around and is completely overwhelmed. And this woman says she works from home and she has had 5 or 6 surgeries in the last 2 years and is disabled. And that's what is interfering with her ability to do a lot of the organizing and homemaking that she wants to do.
When it comes to women with clothes and they start talking about, oh, well, I used to be this size and, I've got 4 separate sizes of clothes and all, but they've already outgrown those clothes. something to offer them is to be like, hey, so, let's figure out which are your favorites and keep those. That's okay. But, maybe we don't keep all of them. And also remember, if you do lose that weight again, that's an excuse for a shopping spree. Like
and
if
it'll
you've
feel
gotten,
really good to get new clothes and your new
yes,
body.
yes.
Okay.
And to where it becomes almost like this, like, oh, well, of course I'm getting rid of this crap because I'm waiting for the new stuff if I lose this weight, to where they're more willing to release it. Because a lot of people emotionally are holding on to the past and the stuff from the past. They forget, like, oh, I can release the past and look forward, and that's okay. And that might actually feel better than the past stuff anyways.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to say. Like, let's let go of the past and all the weight that it carries and the negative energy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
That
be
it
like,
holds.
and if you get to go on a shopping spree, that's an amazing goal to like get you excited about reaching your goals.
Yeah, that's something that definitely helps me think of what to say because I've like never necessarily thought of like how to get that across in like the nicest way, right? Because you're like, I
Right.
guess that is a sensitive topic that no, we shouldn't be keeping clothes that you don't fit into anymore.
Right.
So
Offer to them too, because some people are just set in it. They're not releasing it. It doesn't matter what you say. And if she ends up feeling like one of those people, then it's like, okay, well, then can we buy bins to put the clothes in to set them somewhere else to where they are not constantly mixing in with your other clothes that you are actually wearing?
okay, yeah.
And then they're already in a bin with that size. So if you choose to release those clothes, that whole bin can go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
one more quick tip that I learned a long time ago that I try to convince people to do when I'm doing a decluttering of clothes is if you will turn the hangers backwards, then you tell her a year from now, whichever hangers are turned forwards are the clothes you've used. So anytime you wash something and put it back in the closet, turn it forward. So after a year or so, you can visibly see any hanger turned backwards are the ones you've not worn in ever since I've been here and we did today's work.
Right. And then it's time to declutter. So that just gives them a quick visual of the stuff that they're wearing and what they're not wearing. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Should I mention that we're making room for clothes, like for her to go on a shopping trip, or like, no?
I would wait and see where she's at mentally. So if she's the disabled that's like, I work from home, I'm just trying to get through my last year so I can retire and I can sit here and watch TV for the rest of my life. And she doesn't seem to have that vision and those goals. I don't know that I would say that. But if she does seem like someone that really is trying to get quote unquote healthier in her life or, that kind of stuff, then maybe say that. But, it's a lot easier to just be like, hey, can I offer you something? Like ask them, can I offer you a thought or a suggestion? And of course they say yes. But when you've asked someone, can I offer a suggestion? It like opens them up even more to hear from you. But you have to be very careful with the trust they're putting in you. You are the professional. You're coming in. And so whatever wording you use, like you're speaking into her life, you're speaking over her life. Like she is going to take this to heart, whatever you say. So your words are extremely powerful as someone that is coming in, not only as a professional organizer, but also as someone she's opening up her home to and allowing into her drawers and her space. And so just being super aware of that is important.
What I like to say when I like leave my cleaning jobs is like, thank you for inviting me into your home. I always like to say like your home has really good energy. If I can tell it, feel like it does. But man, how it makes the homeowner smile.
The people person, which is why you're drawn to me, because that's who I am too, right? Like it's more about their heart and like protecting them and making sure that they feel better when we leave than when we got there and like speaking goodness into their life and all of those things. And so, that's why like every day when I'm, thinking about the podcast or praying about the podcast or like my girls or like the membership that I'm launching, like all of the things, I'm like, God, just send me the people that are like me out there, like the other people that like truly care. Like I don't need I don't need nor want people in like the membership or anything that are those people that think that you have to like bully or beat up or be harsh with clients. Like that is not my type of people.
Yeah.
My type of people are going to come at this like from the heart, and they're going to love on them and help them. We're going to have backbone and be stern sometimes, but the majority of the time, we're just going to give them the space to figure it out and just kind of help walk with them along the path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I do think I need to build that like that backbone muscle, I guess, of being able to be stern and stuff because I am such a people pleaser. So,
which is exactly why you're my person, because that's who I used to be.
Yeah.
And then building this business got me like just this week, my husband was like, holy crap, honey, like you've got a backbone. And I'm like, dang straight. Like I've been earning this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have one. Like I literally had a friend look at me one time, like, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And she goes, Samantha, you need to get a backbone. Like legit, like was so rude. We got in this huge fight. She was my best friend at the time. And she was just so mean about it because she was one of those people that were like, nothing fazed her, you know? And I took that to heart. Like that hurt my feelings, you know, but nowadays when I look at it, I was a people pleaser. I constantly said yes. And even for my own sanity, I'm glad I got a backbone, but it was a choice and it was a process, but I learned, and it didn't take that long to learn once I committed. And between that and running a business, like you learn real quick, you know, like, okay, I've got to stand my ground and know what's healthy for me compared to just what everyone else wants from me.
Yeah. It's so funny is that when I'm like, I overthink it. And normally when I'm like actually in front of the person, like things like are fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think. And then I go home and I rethink the whole conversation and I'm like, that dumb thing I said.
Yeah. Dude, that goes away.
Between being a people pleaser and a perfectionist.
Yes.
Literally.
Yep. Listen, I feel you. I've been there. That does go away though. That critic, that inner critic, as you get more and more clients, you're like, shut up, take a back seat because I'm killing it out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even I saw some friends this weekend and had to mention like I'm a professional organizer. And I was like, am I like even like saying it out loud? I was like, am I? I am.
That will go away too as soon as you have just 1 or 2 clients. Because think about it, even with 1 client, you are a professional organizer. Like that's a fact. You have done that service for a person. You are now actually a professional organizer. So as soon as you get your first session, let your mind frame switch to where it's a point of like pride and like something that because they're going to feel your energy. It's not going to matter what you're saying. If your energy is like, I
don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know.
Compared to, I can help you declutter your home. Like this, you know, I did this or I did that.
Let's go.
And that's why having stories is so helpful, is because it kind of takes that other crap out of it. Like it just is what it is. This is what happened. And I'm just telling you what happened. And I think that's what helped me when I first got started, is because I had done my own closet and pantry. And so I kept telling people what I've done for myself, I could do for you, because that was a fact. I had done it for myself. Now, you know, and I even had the photos to prove it, kind of thing. And so I just used the energy off the back of me cleaning my own stuff and decluttering it to like prove to myself, like, and to others, I am a professional organizer because I organize this stuff. Look at this, you know, and then the more you kind of do that, the more you start to believe in yourself. Like it'll come with time. I promise.
Yes, I have the website now, so there's no going back.
Right. And you're going to love it. Like it's going to be so good. You just have to give it a little bit of time. Like it just, you know, and enjoy the journey along the way. Like it's so good. And knowing, like, that's what I'm trying to remind myself with the membership. Like right now, you know, January 1st, the membership's launching for POC. And, you know, I just now figured out like even the network I was doing it on. Like
Mhm.
nothing is built. I literally have the next few weeks to build this whole thing out.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if I didn't do, it's kind of like you with the website thing, right? Like at some point I'm just going to do it. So it's done. And then it done is better than perfect. People are either going to love it or they aren't. And I know people are going to love it because I know there's such a need for it. And because people have already been showing up to the group coaching, which is how I set myself up for success, because I already figured out that this is something people want and that
No.
people need.
Mhm.
Compared to if I was just launching the membership and hadn't been doing these group coachings the past, couple weeks, I don't know that I would have been like brave enough to hit, like to
To
be
keep
doing
it.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I guess I don't want to like lose my momentum a little bit. I do anticipate like not receiving any calls during Christmas break or maybe
Between the day of Christmas and New Year's that
Christmas and
week,
Thursday.
just,
Mm-hmm.
just,
Just don't anticipate anything.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want it to be like, oh my God, I'm not receiving anybody Smith. Like no one
I
wants
use that
to,
week
but
every year to just work on like the back end for you, even if it's just, decluttering your own closet or something you could use as photos or like,
photo. Mm-hmm.
anything that you could think of that will help you for the future. Anything that still needs to
Mm.
be done because you're going to end up in a routine very soon where you're out with the clients a lot between the cleaning and the organizing. So whatever you need to get done right now is what I would focus on instead of just letting your brain run wild and doing nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Like I might even like schedule my days out to be like, this is what I'm doing this day. This day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing I'm building my foundation right now. So I am working. Like we think, oh, we're not working if we're not in the home with the client.
Yeah.
But that's just not
Yeah.
true.
Yes. Yes. It's hard for my brain is still getting there because this is like very new being self-employed and
Listen,
that,
even if you have to go to Starbucks and sit at Starbucks to make it feel like
yeah.
you're going out to do something, then do
Oh,
that.
mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a matter of because I'm sitting at home, it feels like I'm not working. But if I go to Starbucks or I go to McDonald's or anywhere to where I can just get some
Mm-hmm.
free Wi-Fi and get out of my house, all of a sudden
Yeah.
I feel like I'm accomplishing.
I just set up my kid, my 2-year-old to go from he was in part-time daycare 3 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to do my work on the other 2 days, like my building the websites and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Having him run around was like
Not an
literally
option.
impossible.
Yeah.
I made a deal with my daycare teacher, so now he's there full time, and I can spend those 2 days extra a week just working on my business or potentially scheduling. This is when I've scheduled my in-home consultations.
And here's the thing, right? Is like even my husband, before I came up here for this call, whenever I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. I was like, I got to go upstairs. He was like, so, because, I've got so many different things going on, whether I'm recording for the podcast, whether I'm doing a coaching session that I'm getting paid for, whether I'm doing
Yeah.
something that I'm not getting paid for because it's for the like he's not getting it. And so I was like, honey, like it's
Mm-hmm.
technically free, but like it's for the podcast. So it's really not free, but it's actually building what I'm trying to build. So it's really not free. I'm just building my foundation. So like, I know this is going to work. You just got to give me some time. It'll
Yeah.
get there. I
Yeah.
promise. But yeah, just get that in your head that you're working because you are. And you'll figure out your little things of like, do I need to drop him off? And if the second I drop him off, have a consultation so then I can come home and still get some work done? Or do I then go
Mm-hmm.
buy a Starbucks before I pick my son up and not even come home? Or, like you'll figure out what works for you.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I'll figure that out. So that's just an exciting thing now that I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm running my business full time. Like he's in full time daycare. This is my full time business. And it's definitely like kind of switched the gear on of like really putting a lot more time into this. So
yeah. And it's getting there. It just takes time. Yeah. Yeah. But you're perfectly on your way. Like, I mean, I was so impressed with your contract and like the way that you took what I had and just like turned it into your own. And like you've got this, you've got a knack for this. You've just got to give it some time for the word to get out. Like, you can't expect people to just be on your doorstep knocking. They're like, oh, you just got your son in daycare last week. I'm here. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as I would love that to happen, that would be so cool.
But listen, there's two ways that this could go. A lot of people, they have so much momentum when they first start and they quote unquote launch that it gets really big, but then they end up with like nothing. They end up with a lull in their schedule. If you're building your foundation correctly and you're allowing the momentum to continue to grow, then it'll keep growing compared to, oh, there's all this hype and then nothing. Yes. Okay. Right now, slow and steady is much better than crazy, awesome, and nothing. Yeah.
Right. Because it gets to a point where if you're booked out too far in advance, sometimes I assume people would not want to wait that long either.
Right.
And then they're going to other people and then you're not getting booked out. Like,
yeah. And you're going to have to learn real quick. Oh, that's a good topic. Thank you for that. The schedule of a professional organizer. You know, but it seems like every time I feel like I need a client, another one shows up. But in the times, like sometimes, you know, it's only like 4 days out or 5 days out. I'm looking at next week and I have nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh. That is a constant thing as a professional organizer. Like, that's just part of the life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
How much did you love this episode of Pro Organizers Coach? I am so thankful to Jessica for the part 1 that we did and for this session that we did. She has been an amazing member of the community. She has taken her business from the time we've recorded this, which was at the end of December. And just in these 6 weeks, I have watched her get clients, start working with clients, having sessions. She is killing it. And so I know that if the women in my community are doing as good as they are doing, I know that you can too. So go to proorganizerscoach.com, or all of the links from today's episode will be in the show notes below. You have been listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to the show notes to find all of the links mentioned in this episode and hit that subscribe and automatic download button so you don't miss a single thing. Thanks for listening.